We also await later on to look at the same alongside my guests. The People Daily, the Standard newspaper, and the Daily Nation. Front page of the Standard newspaper, what does it detail? And jobless teachers rush to be interns. Unemployed tutors are locked in stiff competition for 1,038 vacancies that have been brought aboard by the Teacher Service Commission, a story captured on page 10, evidently showcasing the fact that we really are still grappling with unemployment in the country, and a majority of teachers who've gone to school for the same are not able to secure themselves employment, in as much as we have lots of private entities and equally government schools, but then evidently they cannot accommodate them. This at a point also where the ratio of teachers to students to teachers is still wanting, in the sense that we have very many students but the teachers are not enough to cater for the same. So this story that has been captured on page 10 speaks hugely of what needs to be done for us to be able to make adjustments. And on this other side, Matiang'i promises cheaper power fuel. Fuel prices could be reduced this week as the government convenes a crisis meeting with stakeholders in the energy sector. Right Honorable Raila Odinga during his campaigns also mentioned that, and then that then would mean Kenyans are eagerly waiting to see what will be done to address the same. And also the aspect of power, it is not all rosy at the Kenya Power. And of course, we seek to understand what the government needs to do, or seeks to do actually, to make sure that this then is equally tamed. The prices of electricity are quite on the rise, which gets a majority of Kenyans feeling like indeed they have hugely been shortchanged. And so we look forward to see what this crisis meeting then will yield for us in regards to balancing the prices of the two commodities. Now, the biggest story, rivalry has played out in the open since the 2018 handshake. Well, this is according to what it is that a majority have been pushing for. We've seen clergy, and the bishops are pushing for, a Ruto handshake kinda, and something that has not been, brought to the fore just yet. And Ruto pours out heart at the church on Uhuru fallout. Well, top on agenda, DP lists issues he wishes to discuss with President Kenyatta during the proposed reconciliation meeting. This even as a State House declines to comment on the offer by Catholic bishops to lead peace talks between the two leaders. A story captured on page 4, and it appears like the bishops have given up. Whether it is necessary for them to keep pushing or not is one thing that we'll be discussing this morning. And we also ask just how important would this handshake between the two individuals be, especially at this point when we're headed to a general election and there are lots of fears as to the aspect of intolerance that could breed in the country. And so we seek to understand what could have informed this kind of cold blood, and the fact that there's no that goodwill for these two gentlemen to proceed and have a conversation and probably just resuscitate the romance that was once there. A story captured on page 4 of the Daily Nation. A profit to loss, KPLC found itself in a hole, and it owes banks more than about 110 billion. And in the past 3 years, the risks of default have been growing bigger and bigger. Story captured on page 12, even as we speak about power. Indeed, it is not all rosy at the Kenya Power and Lighting Company. And on the other side, fatal fall, Mtwapa lovers plunge 5 floors to their death on the fateful day. Witnesses told the nation they were woken up by a third at 2 a.m. after the man fell from the 5th floor of the apartment in an unclear circumstance. A story captured on page 8. Well, how unclear it is, as many would also say, well, a majority would want to take their lives because of the tough times, the tough economic times. And Kindiki is to pay for wrongful dismissal. Labor Relations Court has ordered Professor Kithure Kindiki to compensate Yasmin Josephine Mokaya, a lawyer who worked at his law firm. A story captured on page 10 that you can always grab a copy and get to understand some of these things you need not to know, to do, in the event that you also have an entity, so that you do not attract such penalties. Dry spell threatens to worsen one experts, and according to the latest forecast, the ongoing drought is set to extend southwards as it ravages counties in Ukambani and other regions in Coast and the Rift Valley. A story captured on the back page of the our Daily Nation, that speaks hugely of the starvation scenarios that we're expecting in the country. As you can see, the animals are actually dying because of lack of food. And certainly, President Uhuru Kenyatta the other day declared this as, a national disaster. We certainly hope to see that the government will come in handy to make sure that these, residents or these citizens are cushioned. And Witherman says that most of parts of the country will experience depressed short rains. We hope that such could be addressed so that we do not lose animals or we do not lose lives. And those are the stories captured on the front page. You cannot forget to celebrate one of our own, Chepkosgei, who's done well. Speak of victory, Jocelyn Chepkosgei crosses the line to win the women's race of the 2021 London Marathon in central London. That is yesterday. Congratulations to her, as of course she puts us more on the map when it comes to matters athletics. And speak of the People Daily. Yes, let's see what the People Daily has. The front page of the People Daily. 2022 game of numbers finally begins, and politicians are falling over themselves to ensure that strongholds register the most new voters. As you can see, in an exercise set to kick off today, aiming to enlist at least 6 million Kenyans. A story captured on page 6 of the People Daily. This, as I have told you, we'll be discussing. IEBC is set to begin the voter registration processes, calling upon a majority of Kenyans who've gotten to the age of voting to proceed and register as voters. The commission would like to assure that the public, is calling actually upon the public that to trust this, and it says that it will continue working as a team to deliver a credible 2022 general election. IEBC officials sensitizing the community and calling upon the people to take advantage of this moment and register as voters. Definitely one of the key things that will be looked at, especially at this point when we're talking about the 2022 general election. And so we'll be having our team on ground following up on this to give you updates of how the exercise then plays out. Violence Mars Ruto tour of Kisii County, a story captured on page 4. Speaking of the aspect of intolerance, this should hugely be condemned, and therefore I'll task my guests this morning to equally give us their view in regards to the same. And we ask questions as to just what it will take to make sure that we do not have such scenarios come 2022. Well, we certainly hope that it does not culminate to what equally played out in the 2007-2008 election period, and coming to 2013, which was equally not so friendly. Relief after Global Fund resumed HIV projects support, which is a good thing. A story captured on page 5. Remember, there's a point in time when we also had people seeking to get ARVs and the delays and so much more, but then these programs then will come in handy to make sure that these individuals are well cushioned, are well catered for and taken care of, and they're able to access the ARVs on time. Chepkosgei triumphs in London Marathon. Congratulations to her once again. And feels pressure sends parents to shy looks. It's quite tough. With these tough economic times, many are turning to informal lenders, with learners expected back to school next week. And we are all crossing fingers that we'll be able to have our students go back to school on time and probably deal with the aspect of lack of monies. And importantly, just have the likes of the bursaries coming in handy to cushion parents. And I have the hard copy of the Standard newspaper, 5 questions on Uhuru to delayed talks. Like I said, this is one of the key things that we'll be discussing this morning. DP releases data to deny claims by clerics that he has not responded to the invitation for dialogue that is with his boss. He instead accuses the clerics of dishonesty in all this. Where does the truth lie? A story captured on page 8. We discuss that later. Antiviral pill to the rescue in COVID-19 fight. Yes. And we have mentioned that, and we say that that's a good move. A story captured on page 4. we still continue to celebrate Jocelyn, and fuel prices could go up in 2 months, but equally, as the report is there, it could go down. Let's hope that they'll be able to strike a balance that will be friendly and long-term for that matter. Electoral Commission must be more than a money train. A story captured on page 8 as they kick off the program of registering voters across the different parts of the country, and we are looking at all that as we continue with the broadcast. So make sure that you keep it right here. And first, before I engage the guests of the day, let's look at what it is that has been prepared by my team on this other hand. And one of the 2 police reservists attacked by armed